you end up wiggling.
5. Pregame.tv, welcome back. Steve Fezzik, Teddy Covers, leaner and meaner this year. We are going to have 4 videos, and we are going to open up. It's March Madness, and it's all March Madness today. We're going to go ahead and talk about bracketology, filling out the perfect bracket, and how. First, you need to know what contest you're in. Is that not right, Teddy?
Yeah, I mean, the basic strategy 101 for filling out brackets starts with the concept: how big is the contest? If you're in a national contest and there are thousands of people, you're going to have a very different strategy than if you're going head-to-head, or even if you're in a smaller, your standard office pool, 30 people, 20 people, 50 people. Very different contest strategies for the two type of contests.
Right. It's sexy. It's fun to put a Texas or an Ohio State in the Final Four, and it's fine to do so in a national contest.
Yes.
But if you're playing against 10 people, that's the number one mistake people make. Is I think they reach for too many Cinderellas. They have them going too far. Despite all the highlights of the Valpo's winning games, the chalk usually wins.
Yeah, and the reality, I mean, let's break it down this simply. Okay, if you were in just a head-to-head bracket picking contest, the appropriate strategy would be you pick the higher-seeded team in every game.
Well, you pick the favored team in the first round.
Yeah, oh, yes, very excellent
Then you
point.
pick the better-seeded team every other round, right?
Yes, correct.
Right, because obviously we got 10s versus 7s where the 10 is favored.
Right, but the concept is make the other guy beat you. All right, once you start talking about the big national contests, number one, luck is the strongest factor there. You got to be lucky. But number two is that you have to pick some upsets, because if you just have a standard straight bracket where all the favored teams advance and all the higher seed teams advance, you're going to be up against 500,000 other people with a very similar bracket, and it's very hard to win that. So if you're in a bigger bracket, you definitely want to pick more upsets than you do if you're in a smaller bracket.
Probably, I would think you want one sleeper to go to the Final Four, and maybe 2 sleepers to make the Sweet 16. Would that sound about right in a national contest? You still don't want like 4. You don't want to have a Final Four without any top 3 seeds. It just doesn't happen, right?
Well, I mean, 2 years ago, I finished in I think the 99.6%. I'm trying to remember. It was before the title game that I was at 99.6, but I think I got the title game right that year. I don't remember. I had a really good year on the ESPN national bracket. And I picked a handful of upsets in the Sweet 16, to a handful of upset teams to reach the Sweet 16, and I happened to be right that year with some of those upset picks. Last year, I think I had about a 20% bracket in my ESPN, and using the same strategy. So there's certainly a fair bit of randomness to this.
Right. One thing I think, if you are going to let's talk big picture. Big picture. Big picture.
There's a 1 in 9.6 quintillion chance of getting a perfect bracket. It ain't going to happen. If you do, more power to you, and I hope you win $1 billion for that, not a crappy Kia or something like that.
Right, but just or 50 to 1. Just wrapping up the discussion as far as if you are in a typical, I think most people in a pool like 30 people probably want to I think the number one mistake most people make: too many Cinderellas, too many upsets. Would you agree with that?
I do, but there's one other point that I think is worth making here, and that is people spend so much time when they're filling out their brackets concentrating on first-round upsets or second-round upsets, and not enough time concentrating on the Final Four teams. You know how the brackets work. You get more points with each round. And if you can get those Final Four teams right, or 3 of the 4 Final Four teams right, you have a much better chance of winning the brackets than you do if you pick a couple of first-round upsets that come through.
Very good. Before we wrap up discussion, you want to throw out maybe some teams you don't want to put in the Final Four that everyone else is going to?
Once again,
a Duke, a Villanova.
Villanova's not making the Final Four.
There we go.
That's that, in my opinion.
I like it.
Will not be in the Final Four.
I like it. There you have it. So lots of different strategies. It depends upon how big your bracket is, to how crazy you want to be. But one tip that our college basketball pro Teddy Covers passes on is to not have Miss Villanova going deep into this tournament. So you may want to go ahead and actively utilize that strategy. We're going to be talking March Madness here all day long. Stay with us. Coming back here, we're going to be breaking down basic strategy and actually betting these games in the things to look for. And Teddy Covers has 6 bullet points of things to look for in his basic betting strategy NCAA tournament. Stay with us. Pregame.tv.